Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer 55551. And before we get started, I do want to point out there will be no video review for this week. This is usually the last week of the month, mostly because I use that time to catch up on some stuff that I normally don't catch up onto. So basically, there won't be any video review or any kind of video review for this week at all. But in any case, though, we do have 4 stories to cover, including a rumor about what we could expect the PS6 to be, and it's a possibility it could take the approach similar to what Nintendo Switch and Switch 2 is doing. July 2025's Circana numbers is out. A report about in regards of still some developers having a hard time getting their hands on a Switch 2 Dev Kit, and rumors about the possibility of when we could see an actual Nintendo Direct and all. And everything like that. If you're interested where I got the source of these information, links will be in the description of this video, assuming you're watching this either on YouTube and Patreon. And of course, the timestamps will also be there if there are certain parts of this video you wish to skip to. But before we get started, I like to do what I like to call is the quick my 2 cents, stories that kind of caught my attention, but I'm not going to go into a huge amount of details of them. The first one has to do with the former head of PlayStation. I think the person's name was Sean Layden. Basically talked about, basically was saying, and this was during an interview with Hip Hop Gamer, basically talking about how he praises Nintendo on the fact that they are in touch with their fan base. Now, I would say I kind of view that as a yes and a no to a certain degree. Yes, I do think when it comes to, they do have a fan base and all. Yes, I do think a lot of their games, they do have a good history of putting quality, value, and content in their game. But as far as being in touch with their fan base, I'm not 100% sure about that. There are times when Nintendo does make some questionable decisions that don't always sit well with the fan base. I mean, one of the most famous one, of course, is fans have been asking for Mother 3 or Earthbound 3 for so many times, and Nintendo has yet to deliver that, at least here in the West. And there was a time, even especially when Operation Rainfall happened, when Nintendo of America said that there were no plans to bring, at the time, Xenoblade Chronicles, Last Story, or Pandora's Tower over here to the West, and that prompted fans to speak out against Nintendo and everything. So I'm not sure they are 100% in touch with their fan base. So I don't entirely agree with Sean Layden on that one, though. We also learned that the Switch game High on Life that was ported over to the Nintendo Switch has got a free Switch 2 upgrade that includes an upgrade in terms of resolution and frame rate, which is certainly nice indeed for those who may have like the Switch 1 version, whether you got it through basically, order it through, limited run games that got the physical version. I believe there was a physical version through limited run, or, got it through the eShop. But in either case, though, it's nice to see that it got a free upgrade and all. We also learned that basically during an earnings call, CD Projekt Red has reported that 75% of the Switch 2 version of Cyberpunk 2077 was on physical in the opening month, though. It does seem to indicate that Cyberpunk 2077 was a success on the Switch 2, and to hear that basically a large amount of people purchased a physical version is certainly good news indeed, and the fact that it's the full game in the 64 gigabyte cartridge is certainly very interesting and all. So I'm hoping that sends a message to other developers out there to consider putting their games into the full 64 gigabyte cartridges, although I still think this issue does need to be addressed, and everything ranging from finding a way to maybe lower the cost of the 64 gigabyte cartridge to perhaps maybe Nintendo looking at options to see if this is possible, other file sizes as well. Obviously, the game key cards are not going to go away, but it has certainly been a controversial issue with a lot of Switch 2 owners and Nintendo fans indeed. But in either case, though, nice to see that Cyberpunk 2077 is doing well on the Switch 2. We also learned that Square Enix has confirmed that the upcoming Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate will run at a stable 30 frames per second on the Switch 2. There was a report about a possibility of a 40 frames per second, but somehow that got debunked and everything. I am curious to see how this game will run on the Switch 2 and everything. So far, the reports seem to be pretty positive for that compared to what we've heard about with Elden Ring on the Nintendo Switch 2, although time will tell if they can optimize that game. Hopefully they do, and if it's possible that a day one patch could come, but again, we'll have to wait and see. But in either case though, nice to hear that Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate is getting some positive response. Hopefully this opens the door, and hopefully this leads to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth making its way to the Switch 2 and all. We also learned that Nintendo put out a YouTube video highlighting some updates for the NES and Super NES, part of the the Nintendo Switch Online library. The video basically showed some games using the mouse functionality, which if you have a Switch 2, you could turn the control Joy-Con on its side and use the mouse functionality right there, to basically plugging in a mouse for the Switch 1 though. They also showed off you can remap button features if you're playing any of the NES and Super NES games. I mean, it's not a big deal, but still a nice feature nevertheless for those who basically want to use the mouse functionality on the Switch 2 to button commands here and there. We also learned that Blooper Team CEO is supposedly a big fan of the Nintendo Switch 2 and wants to be the home of a lot of the horror games and all, which I wouldn't be against that if it's done correctly though. Obviously they're working on the Chrono game that is coming to the Switch 2. This was announced during the Partners Direct. We'll see how well that game sells and how well it runs though. Obviously there are reports that it will be a game key card, so that might turn some folks away, but time will ultimately tell whether that will be the case or not. But if the game sells well and does well, then we could see more games from Blooper Team and all. We also learned that the upcoming Star Wars Outlaw for the Nintendo Switch 2, the file size seems to have gone down from 18.3 gigabytes, if I'm saying the name correctly though, which that is very impressive if that is correct and everything like that. However, we've yet to see some actual gameplay of the game running on the Switch 2 outside of maybe a promotional video here and there. And there are reports that this game will be on a game key card. So part of me is impressed by this, but part of me wants to see more of the game, see some actual gameplay to see how well the game runs on the Switch 2 and all. We also learned that basically Capcom did attempt to try to do a Dino Crisis remake and all, but there does seem to be some issues behind the scenes that didn't exactly take off though, which is a little bit unfortunate. But given where Capcom is right now and given the success of the remakes of Resident Evil 2, 3, and 4, and rumors going around about the possibility that Code Veronica could get a remake treatment though, I do think Capcom should reconsider that and basically try to do a remake of Dino Crisis and maybe Dino Crisis 2 and all. So hopefully they'll do a remake of that at some point down the road, but for now it does seem to indicate, at least according to this report, that we're not going to see a Dino Crisis remake anytime soon. And last but not least, we had the head of Epic Games speak about Unreal Engine 5, as there are reports of developers having some issues with that, and the CEO has come out basically pointing out that it's due to developers not optimizing their games very well, to only focusing on the high-end machines out there. I will say part of that is kind of true, but part of it could be on Epic's side as well. So hopefully these issues can be appropriately addressed at some point down the road, hopefully soon and everything like that. But if the engine is having some issues and a lot of developers are pointing that out, then I do think Epic needs to take a look and see what the issues might be with Unreal Engine 5 and all. And in the movie and TV show part of the Quick My 2 Cent though, Netflix did put out a trailer for their upcoming TV show or animation based off of Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell. I did get to see the trailer, and judging by what we've seen so far, it looks interesting. It is definitely one I'll keep an eye out and see how this is, though. I'm hoping this at least opens the door to the possibility that Ubisoft can go back and actually do another Splinter Cell type of game, though, because lately it just feels like they've treated Sam Fisher as an afterthought and really haven't done much with the Splinter Cell IP and everything like that. So hopefully this opens the door to it, though, but time will only tell if that is the case. But in either case, I'm looking forward to this show, indeed. And last but not least, we have a report from Deadline that that shows that supposedly signed by the governor of California that there is a tax credit for TVs and films. It will be very interesting to see if this helps revive Hollywood to a certain degree. There's been some issues, especially with streaming wars going on and everything like that. So hopefully we'll see if this one does help, and we'll see if unions are definitely on board with this at all. Okay, with the Quick My 2 Cent part now done, along with the movie and TV show part of the Quick My 2 Cent, we'll get started with our first story, and this one has to do with rumors of a actual general Nintendo Direct. Now, since the Nintendo Switch 2 launched, though, we had basically 2 Directs, though, or 3 to be exact, though. We had the Partners Direct, the Indie World Showcase, and of course the Kirby Air Riders Direct. And all. The Partners Direct, I would say, was mixed at best in my view. There were certainly some announcements that I liked, but it was like, I won't say it was the worst, but it wasn't their best Direct when they've done before in the past. The Indie World Showcase, same thing. There were some neat announcements for some of the games, but not all of them clicked with me at all. And the Kirby Air Rider, though, I never played the first one back on the GameCube, so I don't know what to take about this one. It looks promising, and it is something I am willing to try and all. And who knows, maybe Kirby's Air Rider from the GameCube will make its way onto the Nintendo Switch Online library, since the GameCube is now on, GameCube games are now on, the Switch 2 and everything. But as far as a general Direct goes, we didn't really get one in June that traditionally we would have gotten before, like we did last year. Well, recently, a tease from Switchforce seems to indicate the possibility that we could be maybe due for a Nintendo Direct, and supposedly, if the report is correct, it could be happen before the start of the 40th anniversary of the Mario series and all. In a report from Nintendo Life, it reads, quote, "A Nintendo Direct is reportedly on the way and will be taking place mid-September. The claim originally came from Switchforce over on X, formerly Twitter, but VGC, Video Game Chronicles, has also heard from multiple sources that a presentation is planned for the 12th September. If that's the case, it will be taking place the day before the 40th anniversary of Super Mario Bros. Though. The 12th is on a Friday, which is a bit an unusual day for a Direct, but Nintendo has previously held presentations on the last working day of the week, with most recently being Animal Crossing New Horizon Focus one in 2021. Others has looked at Super Nintendo World 2020, the Wii U, and the biggest general Direct in 2013. Plus, besides 2024, Nintendo held a Direct in September every single year except last year, so a Direct in September is almost expected. Of course, as always, none of this is confirmed until Nintendo says anything, though. So remember a healthy pitch of salt. It's worth pointing out this is what Switchforce has to say. It said, quote, "Nintendo tried to phone in an emergency about the missing Switch 2 games, but they accidentally dialed 912. Now, again, as what Nintendo Life pointed out, it is worth taking a grain of salt, though. There's no way 100% for certain if that is the case. That said, Switchforce has been right before in the past with some of his comments, though. So it's certainly not out of the realm possibility that we could get a Nintendo Direct mid-September or before, that Nintendo probably doing something for the 40th anniversary of the Super Mario Bros. Series and all, or Mario in general. As for if this is true, what could we expect from this Direct? Well, I would say my hope is basically we could basically get a concrete release date for Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. That is certainly something I would like to see. Maybe a concrete date for Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade as well, and perhaps maybe some other games that Nintendo maybe be working on that they have kept to their chest they haven't revealed just yet. So there are certainly many directions they could go with this direct if this rumor is true and all. And I do think we're long overdue for a general direct. I think outside of the Kirby Air Rider direct, though, I think the last two that came out after the Switch 2 launch, as I mentioned, I felt kind of a bit of a letdown. So we'll see if this one does happen. If so, if it turns out to be good or not. So overall, it is a rumor. It should be taken with a grain of salt. But given Switch Force has been right before in the past, I won't completely rule it out. And if we do get a Nintendo Direct mid-September, if this is what the rumor is claiming and what Video Game Chronicles are saying, though, I'm hoping this one turns out to be good. I really am, or indeed hope that this one is a good Direct and all. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 2. And this one has to do with a more update on the situation surrounding the Switch 2 development kits. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of my 2 cent video, and for this one we're going to be taking a look at a situation surrounding continued situation of the Switch 2 development kits. Now, one of the things that we have been hearing lately is that there have been some developers that have struggled to get their hands on a Switch 2 development kit, though. And there's been some talks about some odd situations here and there. Recently, we've heard stories of Nintendo setting certain conditions about you have to mention games being at 1080p or having it run at 60 or 120 frames per second, or mention the DLSS or ray tracing to be exact. So there's been a lot of certain questions here and there. Well, now a new report, especially from Digital Foundry, seemed to indicate that there is, well, let's say more confusion to a certain degree, or more conditions being set in terms of those trying to get their hand on a Switch 2 dev kit. In an article from Nintendo Life, it reads, and I quote, we are almost 3 months on from the Nintendo Switch 2 release, and while we have plenty of third-party games to come on the newest hybrid console, many developers say they're still having issues getting a hold of dev kit. This comes from the folks at Digital Foundry in response to a question from a listener during this week's DF Direct. Part of the question focuses on Switch 2 kits, particularly pointing out Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, which runs at 30 frames per second on the newest console, though it doesn't have a specific Switch 2 version either. The question is, do you think Nintendo are regretting not sharing the development kits wider soon? Host John Lennon, who was at Gamescom 2025, spoke to multiple developers on the show floor, with so many of them saying the same thing, and that it's really difficult right now to even get hold of a Switch 2 dev kit. It sounds like the enthusiasm is there. They would love to do a Switch 2 version. They can't get the hardware, but the ability to get the hardware team needs to make a Switch 2 game is tough. Some were apparently told they should just ship it on the Switch 1 and rely on backwards compatibility. Co-host Oliver also weighed in, saying, "I don't really understand the strategy Nintendo's implementing in handling out development kits. The team reports hearing things hearing through the grapevine and talking to people on some weird exclusion and weird inclusion. Highlighted Chill by the Fire as one of the latter games. Some big developers, on the other hand, who develop AAA games aren't necessarily in the pipeline. For their kits. Of course, only people who know who actually going on with these development kits are at Nintendo's Mouse Work, a game specifically designed to play in mouse mode. Can't release the game on Switch 2 until the developers get the kit. Nintendo is reportedly focusing on indie developers and small studios, but that still leaves a lot of teams out. When you get to the report about some third-party games running better on the Switch 2, for example, Final Fantasy VII Remake impression at Gamescom, while Elden Ring did not. So this is sort of weird if what Digital Foundry is saying is correct about how some of these developers aren't getting their hands on the Switch 2 Dev Kit, and Nintendo basically, if this report's true, telling them to ship it to Switch 1 and rely on backwards compatibility. It just seems odd. I don't know what Nintendo's strategy is. I mean, are they trying to prevent, the Dev Kits being sold on eBay, or are they just, cherry picking which developer gets and which don't? Whatever the case is, it's just sort of an odd situation. I am hoping as we move away from the Switch 2 launch period that the strategy will change and more developers will get their hands on the Switch 2 Dev Kits though. But yeah, I will admit, if this report is correct, this is a very odd situation, indeed. And I do kind of question some of the decision Nintendo is making, especially for those who really want to develop for the Switch 2 and all. So overall, it's an odd situation if this report is true, to be exact though. But like I said, I'm hoping we can get away from basically as we move away from the Switch 2 launch period, I'm hoping more developers will get their hands on the Switch 2 Dev Kits and all. So hopefully that's soon, but yeah, like I said, this is an odd situation and all. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 3, and this one has to do with the Circana numbers that have just came out though, and there's some interesting ones, especially regarding the Switch 2 and Donkey Kong Bonanza. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 3 of my Two Cent video, and for this one, we're going to be taking a look at July 2025's Circana numbers that have just came out this week. Now, one of the things I was curious to see is basically a couple things. One is how well the Nintendo Switch 2 was doing in its second month being out after we got the numbers from June 2025, and of course, where does Donkey Kong Bonanza stand, to be exact though. And so basically the numbers have come out, at least according to what Circana is saying, and it does seem to indicate that despite everything right now, with ranging from the economic uncertainty and of course, the tariff situation, it does seem to indicate the Switch 2 is still doing very well indeed. And even Donkey Kong Bonanza seems to be off to a very good start indeed as well. According to an article from Video Game Chronicles, they are basically saying that Circana revealed the Nintendo Switch has now sold over 2 million units in the US and is currently tracking 75% ahead of the original Nintendo Switch after 2 months. Dollar sales for the other 3 consoles plummet, with the PS5 down 47% year-on-year, while year-on-year the Xbox Series X and X down 69%, and the original Nintendo Switch down 52%. The Nintendo Switch 2 is the best-selling console year-to-date, followed by the PS5. The PS5 was the second best-selling console of the month. It also points out that the Nintendo Switch Pro Controller is now the best-selling accessory in the US years and date in terms of in both units and dollar sales, though. And as far as basically where the games rank, they point out the top best-selling games in terms of dollars for July 2025, and we have EA College Sport Football 26 at number 1, EA Sports MPV Bundle 2025 at number 2, Donkey Kong Bonanza at number 3, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 Plus 4 at number 4, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 at number 5, Minecraft at number 6, Forza Horizon 5 at number 7, Grounded 2 at number 8, Red Dead Redemption 2 at number 9, which is kind of interesting because it was at number 15 last month, Grand Theft Auto 5 at number 10, MLB The Show 25 at number 11, Death Stranding on the Beach at number 12, WWE 2K25 at number 13. Elden Ring at number 14. NBA 2K25 at number 15. Elden Ring Nitrin, if I'm saying the name correctly, at number 16. Split Fiction at number 17. EA Sports FC 25 at number 18. Marvel Spider-Man 2 at number 19. And F1 25 at number 20. Over on terms of the 20 best-selling games in 2025 year to date, we have Monster Hunter Wilds at number 1. The Elder Scrolls Oblivion Remaster at number 2. EA Sports College Football 25 at number 3. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 at number 4. MLB The Show 2025 at number 5. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 at number 6. WWE 2K25 at number 7. Elden Ring Nitrin at number 8. Split Fiction at number 9. NBA 2K25 at number 10. Forza Horizon 5 at number 11. EA Sports MVP Bundle 2025 at number 12. Minecraft at number 13. The latest Civilization game at number 14. Grand Theft Auto 5 at number 15. PGA Tour 2K25 at number 16. Doom The Dark Ages at number 17. EA Sports FC 25 at number 18. Red Dead Redemption 2 at number 19. And Donkey Kong Bonanza at number 20. That's kind of impressive for that one, though. In terms of the best-selling premium PlayStation games for July 2025, we have EA Sports College Football 26 at number 1, EA Sports MPV Bundle 2025 at number 2, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3+4 at number 3, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 at number 4, Death Stranding 2 on the Beach at number 5, Forza Horizon 5 at number 6, MLB The Show 25 at number 7, Grand Theft Auto 5 at number 8, Minecraft at number 9, and WWE 2K25 at number 10. For the Xbox platform, we have EA Sports College Football 26 at number 1, EA Sports MVP Bundle 2025 at number 2, Red Dead Redemption 2 at number 3, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3+4 at number 4, NBA 2K25 at number 5, Minecraft at number 6, Forza Horizon 5 at number 7, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 at number 8, WWE 2K25 at number 9, and PGA Tour 2K25 at number 10. Over on Nintendo's platforms, we have Donkey Kong Bonanza at number 1, Super Mario Party Jamboree at number 2. Last month it was at number 11. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3+4 at number 3. Mario Kart 8 at number 4. Minecraft at number 5. Mario Kart World at number 6. Kind of interesting to see Mario Kart 8 at the top of Mario Kart World, but it is probably an evergreen title, so its odds are Mario Kart World could go down the same route as Mario Kart 8, which has been selling over and over for the last couple of years and all. Anyway, moving on though. Number 7, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Number 8, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. My guess is the Switch 2 edition and all. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate at number 9. And Hogwarts Legacy at number 10. And finally, on the PC side, they have Grounded at number 2. Elden Ring Nitrin at Grounded 2 at number 1. Elden Ring Nitrin at number 2. Red Dead Redemption 2 at number 3. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3+4 at number 4, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 at number 5, Elden Ring at number 6, Helldivers 2 at number 7, Kingdom Come Deliverance at number 8, Grand Theft Auto 5 at number 9, and Minecraft at number 10. They also point out that subscriptions have seen some increases as well, though, so those seem to be doing well. But I think the takeaway from this list, though, is like, obviously, a lot of sports titles are doing very well indeed, depending on which one you're into and all. Seeing Red Dead Redemption 2 jump on that list, go up a bit, that's kind of interesting indeed. I wonder if this has to tie in with rumors going around ranging from a updated version of it on Xbox Series X and X and PS5 could be in the works, to even rumors of it coming to the Switch 2. So there's a possibility that could be one of the reasons, but who knows if that will be the case. But obviously, the big one for me was Donkey Kong Bonanza and basically the Switch 2. Obviously, the Switch 2 is continuing to sell very well, so obviously Nintendo must be very pleased with what they are seeing right now. And of course, Donkey Kong Bonanza seems to be off to a very good start. Now, how long Donkey Kong Bonanza can maintain that momentum remains to be seen, but if it continues to do very well, maybe this will open the door to seeing, maybe more Donkey Kong games down the road. Maybe another 2D entry or maybe another 3D entry and all. And I am very curious to see how next month is going to do. Not to mention, I'm also curious to see how well, when Metroid Prime 4 Beyond comes out, how well that will do on the Circana numbers to be exact. But overall, I would say the big winner obviously is the Switch 2. It continues to sell very well. Sports titles seem to be doing all right. Red Dead Redemption 2 making it up on the list is certainly interesting. And of course, Donkey Kong Bonanza does seem to be off to a very good start though. So very interesting numbers indeed. We'll see what happens when in next month when they announce the August 2025 Circana numbers to see how everything turns out and all. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to our fourth and final one. And this one has to do with rumors of what we could expect the upcoming PlayStation 6 or what Sony could be doing with PlayStation 6 and could be following the approach similar to what the Switch is doing. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with our fourth and final part of our My Two Cent video. And for this one, we're going to be taking a look at a interesting rumor that the PS6 could take the route of what Nintendo has done with the Switch and the Switch 2. Now, ever since the Switch 1 came out back in 2017, we've seen the push for the idea of portable gaming really started to take off a bit more, and the whole hybrid kind of approach, which is basically the console handheld hybrid and all. And Nintendo has been successful with the Switch and the Switch 2 so far. And we've seen other attempts as well. I mean, recently we've seen stuff like the Steam Deck and the ROG Ally with the idea of you bringing your Steam library or your PC games with you on the go. And supposedly they have found success as well. Some of it will be based on what expectation they were setting though, but so far it seems to be clicking very well, especially for those who are more into the PC side. And we have heard rumors a while back that Microsoft was willing to do a dedicated handheld with possibly a dock and all, although supposedly that's on the back burner for the time being, as they have sort of teamed up with the folks who worked on the ROG Ally to do basically their own thing. As far as Sony goes, I would say when it comes to handhelds, Sony's history has been sort of not, I would say, spotty at best though. The PSP though did fare better when it comes to Sony's handheld, but the Vita on the other hand, despite being more powerful than like the DS and all, failed to really take off and everything like that. So it's always been a mixed bag with, Sony's handling of when it comes to handhelds. It always comes off as after they release it, they treat it as sort of like as an afterthought. Well, a report from YouTuber Moore's Law is Dead, if I'm saying the name correctly, seems to indicate that Sony may be taking an approach similar to what not only Nintendo's doing, but perhaps what Microsoft did when they released the Xbox Series X and S in a way. And one of those units could be a portable version of the PS6 to a certain degree and everything like that. Now, the article is from Video Game Chronicles, and it reads that, quote, in a new video, Moore's Law is Dead shares specific technical specification for the PS6 handheld, which will reportedly release alongside traditional, more powerful PS6 home console, which is said to be based on up-to-date documents from graphic partner AMD. There's been some reports that Sony and even Microsoft have been working with AMD and all. Notably, Moore's Law said it's seen multiple documents that directly call out that the planned PS6 portable can be docked like a Nintendo Switch, and claim will be capable of playing games natively at powers exceeding that of the base PS5 when docked. The PlayStation 6 Portable will reportedly feature an AMD APU feature, 4 Zen 6C cores, and 2 further cores dedicated entirely to the system task. In addition, PS6 is said to feature a 16x RDNA 5CPU GPU clocked at 1.2 gigahertz in handheld mode and at 1.65 gigahertz docked. Moore's Law that speculated, based off specifically, that the cost of the PS6 handheld could retail around $500 and is released in late 2027. Again, a lot of that could come down to economic uncertainty and the tariff situation, so there's always that possibility as well. They point out that Sony hasn't launched native gaming handhelds since PS Vita in 2011. A portable accessory for the PS5 PlayStation Portable was released in 2023, but it's not capable of playing games natively. It was also reported by Reuters last year that Sony has contacted AMD to design and fabricate the PlayStation 6 chip due to company's prioritization of backwards compatibility, though. AMD also creates the custom system on a chip SoC for PS5 and PS5 Pro, and according to Reuters, this was a critical point in Sony's decision for PlayStation 6. Now, obviously, we won't know until Sony officially announces it and everything like that. Now, could it work? It's a possibility. It could technically work. The idea of what Sony's or at the very least what Moore's Law is pointing out, I do like the idea and the concept. The idea of playing your PS6 games at home or bringing it on the go, similar to the Switch 2, certainly isn't a bad idea. That said, however, as I said before, Sony's handhelds have not had a great history and all, and the question is whether or not they would treat this as an afterthought and everything. And it's very interesting, assuming this rumor is true, that Sony is basically going to take this approach again, if this rumor is true and all. But still, I can understand why, given how portability has started to see a huge resurgence lately, thanks to the success of the Switch and the Switch 2, and somewhat of the success with the PC handhelds like Steam Deck or the ROG Ally and all. So I can understand it. Excuse me. I can understand Sony trying to do this, though. Whether it becomes a success or not remains to be seen. And the price point, again, as I point out, I wouldn't be against it being at $500 and all, but you have to factor in economic uncertainty and the tariff situation, as we just learned how Sony has recently raised the price for their system. Same with Microsoft doing with the Xbox Series X and S. And should this system come to fruition, though, it would be very interesting if that put pressure on Microsoft to start looking at not only a dedicated handheld that could be like a hybrid, play on the go or dock to your TV, though. So that would be interesting if that does put pressure on them, though. So we'll have to wait and see. I wouldn't be against this, but again, until Sony officially reveals it, though, right now it is a rumor and should be taken with a grain of salt for the time being. But I will say I'm not outright against this idea and everything. So overall, I would say it is a very interesting rumor. The idea of them taking the hybrid approach similar to the Switch and the Switch 2, though, is certainly a very interesting idea, and I would definitely be down with it. But again, a lot of that will come down to how well Sony executes it, though. And I have some concerns considering their history of Sony launching handheld systems before. They have not been very successful. Yes, PSP had fared better, but the Vita, we all saw what happened with that one. So again, time will tell if that happens, but I am definitely not opposed to this if this rumor turns out to be true and all. Okay, this concludes this My 2 Cent video for this week. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about rumors about having the Nintendo Direct at mid-September, though? Do you think Nintendo's long overdue for a general Direct and everything like that? Do you think what Switchforce is saying is correct? Do you think we will get a Direct? And if so, will it be before the 40th anniversary of the Mario series, or do you think it will be after, or do you think the 40th anniversary of the Mario series is the general direct? What are your thoughts about the situation surrounding developers trying to get their hands on the SW2 Dev Kits though? Do you think that Nintendo's maybe going a little bit overboard in terms of some of these developers getting these dev kits though? Do you think that once we're out of the launch period, we'll see more and more developers get their hands on the dev kits? What are your thoughts about the July 2025 Circana numbers? Were you impressed by them in any way? Were you surprised to see the Switch 2 is continuing to do very well? Were you surprised to see Donkey Kong Bonanza make it on the top list as well? And what are your thoughts about this rumor about the PS6 having a Switch approach, which it has it being a portable and could be on a dock system and all? Do you think this rumor is true? And if so, do you think this is a smart move on Sony's side of it though? Do you think the whole handheld hybrid concept is something Sony should pursue? And if this does happen and it does take off, do you think it could put pressure on Microsoft to do their own hybrid console as well? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you do like this video, I hope you hit the like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You could do it through PayPal Me, Patreon, or Steam Labs. Links will be in the description of this video, so you're watching this either on YouTube or Patreon. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye!